Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Gwen. If you are new, welcome. And if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back and continuing to support my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing more fall DIYs for 2023. Hope you enjoy this video. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up at the end if you do, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get on with these DIYs. For the first project, I am using one of these wood house shapes. This one came from Michael's. Dollar Tree carries things that are similar in shape. Maybe not so much this style, I'm not really sure. But they do carry like craft decor items in the shape of houses. I'm sure you can utilize those if need be. But this one in particular came from Michael's. So what I'm going to do is create a two-sided or reversible fall sign. Using some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, I'm going to use two designs, one in a predominantly orange with pumpkins design, and the other side will be more so with writing. So for the first side, I'm going to go ahead and trace out the shape of this house using this paper. And I'm going to go ahead and trace out the other paper as well and get that part out of the way. And what I'll essentially be doing is cutting the shapes out of the scrapbook paper and then using some glue stick or a glue stick to just adhere those to the house. I also took a sanding sponge or sanding block and just slightly sanded off any excess paper that was hanging off the edges. Next, I took this old 57 color by DIY and just gave the edges a couple good coats just as an accent color to the edges. You can also stain the edges if that is your preference or paint it a different color altogether. Next, I took one of these little wooden cutouts with some sayings on it, and this came from Joann's last fall during their clearance. And I took one of these and just painted it Cashew Color by Waverly, just so it stands out a little more against that printed paper. And I also used some Decrepit Dust by DIY and just gave the edges a nice dusting of this powder just to create a more rustic and distressed look. And then I used some hot glue to adhere that wood cutout over the house. Next, I'm working on the other side, taking one of these Dollar Tree pumpkin cutouts. It came in a pack. I simply hot glued that over this printed side of the house. I took more of that Decrepit Dust and slightly brushed that over the edges, again giving it that distressed look. And then I did end up using some Dollar Tree stickers. I chose a heart design with a buffalo plaid design inside of it and just added the heart sticker to the center of that pumpkin cutout, which I thought was super cute, sort of signifying my love of pumpkins. After distressing this piece, I decided to take some Big Top and just give this a good seal to protect the paper and the paint. And this is how it's looking with that sticker added. And now it's time to add a finishing touch to both of these sides, just using some ribbon and some raffia. For the reverse side, I just used some raffia and just tied it into a bow and hot glued that into place. And that was it for this DIY. A very cute reversible tabletop sign or a tiered tray sign. I hope you guys like this idea. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. Moving on to DIY number 2, I am taking a wood crate from Dollartree, and I was going to use this hay bale, but I decided not to use it. I also took these mini pumpkins. Some are those plush style kinds, and as well as the off-white looking ones. I didn't end up using the ones that look plush. I did use a different style, which you will see later. But first of all, I will go ahead and paint this crate. I decided to use 3 colors for this crate, using this Summer Crush color by DIY, as well as Old 57 and I believe Cashew by Waverly. So here I'm just carefully painting each of the rows. They're all separated by the groove or little divots in the crate. And I was just trying to be careful. I didn't mask off anything. I just painted a straight line and then used that same color, Summer Crush, to paint the entire sides and bottom of this crate. Next, I'm using Old 57 and again just carefully brushing that over the middle stripe. And I made sure to do that on either side. And for the last row on the crate, I decided to use the color Cake Batter by DIY instead of Cashew. That's more of a mustardy yellow color, and I thought it went well with the other 2 colors already painted on this crate. Personally, I feel like these colors represent fall. I think that they go really nicely for the fall season, and I just made sure to bring more of that cake batter color down into the crate where it might be visible. Next thing I did was to paint over these sort of yellowish looking pumpkins. They look a little cheap and boring, so I did just paint it some good old white chalk paint by Waverly. And that's just to make it look more brighter and make it pop a little bit, not look grungy. And you can paint your pumpkins any color that coordinates with your crate, but I thought white was a nice color, a nice accent or contrast to the rest of the colors that's going on in this DIY. So this was a leftover pumpkin that I had, or pumpkins that I've had from previous fall hauls, and they come from Dollar Tree, and I'm not quite sure how many actually comes in a pack, but those are the ones that I had remaining, so I just decided to utilize those. I also had this piece of galvanized metal truck, and this is from Joann's. A lot of these things that I am showing in these fall DIYs did come from Joann's during their fall clearance last season or last year. So I did stock up on some of these items, hoping to utilize them for this year. So here they are now, making their appearance. I simply hot glued that galvanized metal truck on the corner of that crate just for an added accent. Then I took this bundle of wheat, and this was from the clearance section at Hobby Lobby last fall as well. So getting your items off season when they are clearancing them out at the end of the season is a good idea. If you have the intention of making things for the next year, because you get them for a really good price. Most of the time 75 to 90% off, depending on what time of the week or day that you get them. So I know those bundles of wheat was really inexpensive when I purchased them last year. But here I went ahead and cut them down shorter because they did come on long stems, and I wanted them short enough so that they would be able to lay tucked inside that crate, but at the same time still standing out so that they're not completely inside of the crate. I also was playing around with how I wanted this to look and how I wanted the pumpkins to be placed in here. So I fiddled with some pieces of floral foam, just inserting them into this crate and sort of finagling them between the wheat, just so that I have the height and everything that I wanted for the pumpkins to stand out without everything just sort of being sunken into this crate. I wanted some of them to stick out a little bit more than others. So you just have to sort of keep messing with your project until you are happy with it. There's really no rhyme or reason here. And taking some of this Excelsior grass, again, I think it's from maybe Dollartree. It's sort of like a straw type grass. I just added those to fill in the gaps and the spaces in between the pumpkins and to just finish off the look. And I think it's perfect. It finishes off this look very nicely. And the last bit of embellishment that I added was a raffia bow. Just like I did for the first DIY, I just took a bundle of raffia and just created a simple bow and hot glued that to the corner. And this is how it looks. I think it came out super cute. Let me know what you think. Let's move on to DIY number 3. This is the final DIY of the video. I simply took a chalkboard, sort of plank, beaded sign from Dollar Tree, as well as some of these faux leather leaves that I had in my stash. That was from last fall as well. And this pumpkin was from another sign that I removed and I saved for a future project. I'm also using these decal stickers that came from Dollar Tree. These were featured in one of my hauls recently. And it comes with 2 designs on each pack, which I think is a great deal. So here I'm just deciding on the color. I decided to go with this ivory colored Waverly chalk paint and just gave this pumpkin a good couple coats. And while the paint was slightly damp, I took this scraping tool or a spackling tool and just slightly scraped off some of the paint while it was damp. You can also sand it off if you wanted to, but I feel like using the scraping tool scrapes off a lot more of that paint, in more concentrated areas. If you don't like the rustic or distressed look, you can forego this step and just leave your painted pumpkin as it is with no distressing. So everything I'm showing you here is purely optional. It's purely preferential. So if it's your taste or your aesthetic, then follow along. But if not, you can customize this to suit your own decor. So here I'm taking this decal sticker. I decided to use the word blessed. You'll want to make sure ahead of time that whatever word you choose is the right size for your pumpkin. So this particular word was perfect size. I could have used a thankful one. It would have worked just as well. But I like how the blessed word looks on this pumpkin. And the next thing I did was took some of this decrepit dust and just distressed the edges a little bit more. giving it that rustic feel. And once all of that was done, I did the same to the actual wood sign, just taking it around the edges. The next step was to hot glue my pieces down into place. I used this faux leather leaf. I thought it added a nice touch to this piece, a different type of material or texture, and a pop of that brown fall color. I also took another piece of that leaf and just cut it down to the size I needed to add it to the front part of my stem. Next, it was time to glue all my pieces down into place. I started off by hot gluing that leaf, so it gave me an idea of where to glue the pumpkin. And then I hot glued the pumpkin as well as that other piece of leaf into place. I also used the stickers that came with the decal. They were in the sunflower designs, and I took a few of those and just scattered them throughout the sign, just adding a little more cuteness and more embellishment to this piece. You can also use like the 3D sunflowers that Dollar Tree carries as well. It's like the paper flowers. Those would be a super cute addition if you have those. But since these sunflower stickers came with a decal, I went ahead and used those up as well. And last but not least, I decided to add a raffia bow to this piece using the same technique as I did with the first DIY. I took a handful of raffia and just twisted it around to make a simple bow and hot glued that to the top of my stem. So far, I'm loving how this is looking. I think it looks so adorable, perfect for a wall sign as well as adding to a wreath that you might already have. It could also be good for your front door. The sky's the limit. But here, as you can see, I decided to add this paper flower that I mentioned earlier. And it does give that nice pop of yellow, which is perfect. I love how all these DIYs came out. They were so easy and quick to make, super budget friendly. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I think they are adorable addition to your fall decor for this year. And all the items are super easy to find. Well, thanks again to all of you for coming to watch my video. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope to see you in my next one. Take care.